Number 11, cold showers. Very hyped about at the moment. David, you do them?
Yeah, I do them a lot. My opinion completely changed again since listening to more Andrew Huberman. I think I've probably mentioned him in every podcast that we do, but I used to think they were overrated. Now I think they're underrated, and I think they're underrated now because there's a lot more data and science that's come out to actually backed how effective that they can be for improving things like dopamine and your general response to stress as well, like stress management. So I think they're underrated now. I used to think they were overrated, so my opinion's changed.
I think it's important we're open-minded. I don't do them personally, but I'm open to the concept of them being valuable. Chris?
I don't do them personally. I've done them for a long time.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I've done them for like probably well over 6 months consistently. I would say like years ago. I was right into them, and yeah, I did. I really like enjoyed them, and I got a lot of benefits from them. I couldn't tell you why I was that?
You enjoyed them?
I couldn't really tell you why I enjoyed the benefits. I couldn't really tell you why I stopped. I just did. But I think like what you're saying about Andrew Huberman, like when I read or listened, whatever I found out about it, I'm talking about how it helps your response to stress.
Yeah.
That made me want to go back to them again, because I actually only read it like the other day.
Yeah.
And it made me want to go back to them because I see that benefit. Because like I think the misconception is like, oh, it toughens you up, or it sets you up for the day, blah blah. But see, when it's an actual practical thing, like, oh well, how you respond to stress is actually really important. And like for me, like stress can be, I know we're going back to something we spoke about earlier, but like that resistance to getting into the first bit of deep work that I've got to do in the day. Say it's like writing whatever, I'm getting into the heaviest bit of copy I've got to do. That's that I am experiencing some form of stress there. Like my body's like, try to distract me. All these things are going through my head. Whereas if you have a practice that's closely related to that, whereas like your reaction to the cold water, then that might make me better in that situation. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably made me want to do it. We will revisit them.
I think for me, like a lot of the stuff on Huberman Lab podcast and from just generally the data and science that's come out recently is it kind of just, it makes you want to do them because it tells you how good they are for you, and it literally breaks down how effective that they are. And it's the same as something we're going to speak about in a minute as well. I think when you know the benefits, like I think in the past when I used to do them, because I kind of thought they were generally good for me, and it was cause like it's going to make me tougher and more resilient and whatnot, which is one of the things it does do. But I used to really dread going in them, and I felt a little bit better after it. But I actually now really like going for them, and I really love the way they feel. Not just cold showers, but like cold dips in general, like jumping in the sea when it's freezing. Like it's quite euphoric. Like coming out of that, you feel incredible.
On
early in the morning, really
on a practical level, then somebody wants to start doing cold showers. David, what's the entry point?
It's meant to be between 3 and 5 minutes to actually see benefits from it. It's only recently that I've increased that to about 2.5 minutes. I've got a certain song that I play that's 2.5 minutes, and I just put that on in
What's David Hatt's shower song?
It's Tyler Childers. It's a Tyler Childers song. He was a country singer, of course. But for me, like a minute was brutal initially. What I would say for most people initially would be like to have a hot shower first and gradually turn it cold.
Yeah,
now
that's what I did as well.
Yeah, now I can just jump in cold and it's brutal.
Wash yourself.
Yeah, like 2.5 minutes. And also what I would say is it saves you a lot of money on water bills because you have a 2.5 minute shower because you want fucking out of that thing. I would also say it's much harder to do later in the day. I'll often have a shower like after my midday nap as well, but in the morning it seems to be much easier.
Before you walk, after you walk?
The first thing, just get up. That's like the first thing that I do. And it's maybe because you've not really registered, like you've not really woken up completely. Maybe something to do with that. Maybe the water's generally not as cold, I don't know. But typically if I have one, a lot of people actually say to have them in the evening as well before bed, which contradicts something that I heard on one of your other podcasts about having a hot shower. Which is, I typically have a bath right before bed.
She finds that, so Dr. Nora Simpson for sleep, she finds that it regulates your body temperature for sleep.
I think there's
maybe it has another benefit. Maybe it reduces stress before bed. So if you're a stressy sleeper, you should have a cold shower. But if you're somebody that maybe just struggles to get drowsy, warm shower.
See, I stopped. One of the reasons I stopped doing, just recall this, is I would, Dr. Andy Galpin. Really big in the fitness space. I've always really liked his stuff, and he was on a podcast and he was talking about how cold showers can blunt the blunted, but also I was going for them after workouts and it can blunt the stress response from your muscles, obviously signal them to then grow and adapt. And you can see that a cold shower can blunt that. But then I was again reading something recently from Andrew Huberman that says that if it's within a certain time frame, which again 2 to 5 minutes, it's not going to affect the signal. So like I think that's what initially, because I was like, well, I'm going in here training hard, jumping in a cold shower, and then is my body then not having the correct response that I want it to have, you know?
You want to be in a low stress state directly after a workout to benefit as much as you can from it. And a cold shower is a high stress state. So that's what it's stating. But the chances of you training directly and then going cool straight to the cold shower is slim. Providing there's a bit of time between them, I think it's completely fine.
Yeah.
Right, got you.
Underrated for me then.
Mm-hmm.
Number 12, another food, crisps.
I'd say overrated. I'm not big on crisps.
I love crisps.
Oh, overrated for me. I just think they're rubbish. Like, what if you have chips? Do you know what I mean?
What, like fries?
Oven chips.
Actual chips, yeah.
Oven chips.
Yeah, but you need to cook them. Crisps are easy to like.
Oh, but delayed gratification.
Oh,
just ride out the wave of
go for a cold shower while your chips are cooking.
Exactly, Chris. Habit stacking.
Habit stacking.
James Clear would love that.
Overrated. I've not got much on that one.
Yeah,
people do fucking love.
I know that.
I love crisps.
What do you love about them?
Everyone.
Crunchiness.
I like their smell and their texture. See people's hands after them. I'm like, don't touch me.
See kids' hands after what's it?
Don't touch me.
Rank.
Yeah, don't touch me.
I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you something about crisps that you'll like. See these fucking pretentious crisp flavours, right? Salt and vinegar, cheese and onion, Worcester sauce, all of these bang on. Yeah. See when it's like salted pork and roasted apple with thyme and rosemary. I'm like, get that the fuck. It doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't taste like the thing it says it tastes like. See if I wanted salted pork with thyme and rosemary, I'd have salted pork with thyme and rosemary, mate. I want
not a bag of crisps.
Exactly. I want pickled onion Monster Munch. I want stuff that makes my hands and my teeth yellow. Right? I want that as artificial as possible. Right? I don't want. Exactly.
I do like crisps. I just think they're overrated.
Do you know what's an overrated? Do you know what's an underrated crisp that doesn't get? You know when people do these like things like they post like we polls on Instagram stuff
like the celebrations ranking.
Ranking. Do you know what never gets up? Everybody wants to talk about Walker Sensations or like Johnny's onion rings and all these ones. Yeah. Discos never get a mention. Salt and vinegar discos.
They're the most
they've got
salt and vinegary
crisps ever. They're like coated in like salt and vinegar powder. It's like,
they're acid, 2 packets of them, your tongue's gone.
Prawn cocktail discos, that is like the white whale of crisps. You can't find them anywhere, not even online. I've looked.
If anyone can find
phenomenal.
them for Chris Burns, then
if somebody can send me a packet of prawn cocktail discos.
I'll sign you up to the Fat Project.
pay me in discos.
Number 13, monetizing your audience.
I think you should kick this one off.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think it's overrated if you do it too soon. Mm-hmm. I think loads of people do it too soon, and I think Chris is probably going to come in hard on this one as well, because I think some people immediately decide that they've got a bit of a following, so they're like, I'm just going to flog them something. And there's generally influence, and like I know like I do some affiliate marketing, but I'm very selective of who comes on there and what codes I offer. You
can tell that's genuine affiliate marketing that you do. Always comes across, because
you see a lot of people, they'll promote everything and anything, and best believe they've got a code that is their name and a 10 at the end of it, and you're like, you've used that product for like 2 weeks. How can you possibly do that? Or they've not used it, or they've been sent a free product and it's all over their stories for the next like week, and then it's forgotten about. Yeah, I think that element of monetizing your audience and trying to flog them stuff at all times is really, really poor. And cobbled together shite courses is the one of my pet hates as well. It's one of the reasons I've never taken action up until this point, because anything I want to release out into the space needs to be of such a high standard that it really contributes. And the people that choose to part with their money or choose to follow me for all these years, they need to be getting something of a really high quality back.
I'm with you on that, and I think from the fitness space it's possibly the worst space for it. People with a huge following just feel the need, or they're approached by other companies. There's a particular online coaching brand, I can't remember what it is, but like they find influencers that aren't monetizing their audience.
They message me all the time.
Is to like give you their online coaching platform, and then they take a 30% cut.
They've got an app,
but they're not. There's no coaching involved. It's like all through this terrible software. I had actually had a call with a guy because he was a great salesperson. Jumped on a call with him. I can't remember what the guy's name was.
We won't say who they are.
We won't say who they are. Yeah. Sounds like a planet.
Yeah. But I feel like fitness influencers, in the most part, jump on things and will sell their fucking soul to make a few quid. That's the space that I see the most, because I'm in that space. I've monetized my audience since day one because I purely started an Instagram page to do that. But it was a service-based business from the get-go, and it was to sell a certain service. So for me, I don't see
People
that as being
followed
an
you
issue.
for that though,
Yeah,
David.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
if you
a
have no
little bit
interest in
different.
coaching, they probably don't follow you.
Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
it's just for entertainment value, of course.
Overrated for me.
Okay.
I think like there's obviously this is very closely related to what I do and the people I work with, and if you're going down the affiliate route like you call, where you affiliate with companies that you genuinely believe in and you use, then that's great. But people that are just flogging like the teeth whiteners or whatever it is, there's a massive reputational cost to that. But I would argue that most of the people that are doing that do not care about their reputation, because it's not necessarily been built up from a place like you've built your reputation from being the most consistent person in history on Instagram and posting high quality content people can relate to. A lot of the people that do this kind of typical affiliate stuff and monetize their audience come from, let's be honest, the reality TV world. I'm not decrying these people for doing it. I'm not trying to take food off anybody's table, but it's just the facts of the matter. So they're just trying to cash in at every opportunity. So that is what it is. But I think like the real issue comes up when you're releasing your own things, you're releasing courses or products or whatever. And like when it comes to courses, there's this like just horrible attitude of like, all you need to do is be 1 page ahead. It's the 1 page ahead attitude, so like of your audience. And it's like, is that the standard? That's always been my question. Like, is that the standard for putting something out into the world? Because it can't just be, and this might make me sound like a moral crusader, but it can't just be because you're 1 page ahead. It can't just be because, if you get X result with this course, you'll make your money back fivefold. It's all these false promises that have been trotted out time and time again. And I've seen, believe me, in my line of work, I've seen so many shitty courses. I've bought some of them myself. And you can just tell straight away, no thought's been put into this. This has been a pure money play for people. And I think that, full disclosure, I love making money, right? I think we all do around this table. So if you're actually thinking that way, the smart play is to put out something super high quality from the get-go and have that as your standard and build on that from there. Because if you're thinking long term, if you build on like the first product you launched and like we launched together, we spoke about in the last podcast, was the Positivity Project. And then we built great name, eh? And then we I know,
but it was so needed. It was so needed. It was so relevant. The timing was bang on, and now it's went on to be like the fat loss. It's developed into the fat loss project. Think about how much the quality of the fat loss project when we first launched it, and now the quality of it when we look back on it, you might cringe a little bit, but it was still super high quality. It was still incredible and got incredible results, and because that was your starting point, that's where you started from, rather than just like you cobble together a meal plan, put together a spreadsheet training program and chucked it out there. And because you've got a good relationship with your audience, people would have bought it. But would they have bought again? Would they have signed up for online coaching? Would they have came back time and time again and supported the brand, supported what MTN has now become? Probably not. So think about that before you start going chucking out shite into the world, because there's plenty of it out there already.
I feel you.
Yeah, perfect, Chris. Number 14, Nsdr, Mr. Hatt. What is it?
You take this. I've never done
this one's for me. So Nsdr, massively underrated, and it's mostly because most people don't know what it is or how to do it effectively. It stands for non-sleep deep rest, and it's essentially a form of meditation. Again, learned this from Andrew Huberman. But it's kind of to replace napping. And for me, I've napped my full life. I've been someone that gets up between kind of 4 and 6 a.m. since I was probably 18. Just based on having clients early and then getting into that habit. And now I find myself much more productive at that time. So for me, gets to like 1, 2 o'clock. I've had a hard session. I've done 5, 6 hours of work, maybe 2 or 3. And yeah, for me, like I'm tired. Like in the past, I always napped, and that nap could range from 20 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on how my day was set up. But I found like 80% of my naps, I woke up feeling groggy. I felt worse than before the nap. After maybe an hour, I started feeling really good again. It did re-energize me, but Nsdr kind of replaces that feeling, and it's I suppose I'd describe it as a third state of consciousness between being awake and being asleep. You are basically lying in a bed, on the floor. It tells you to do it, but I just lie in my bed, listening to a recording. I'll maybe get Colin to tag some of these in the the feed, the one that I listen to, and it's basically a recording, 15 to 30 minutes, telling you, it's doing a body scan, so it's telling you to focus in certain parts of your body, focus all your attention on your foot, focus all your attention on your right knee. You just go through these things, and the point of it is to just follow this person's voice and try not think about anything else. It's similar to Headspace, it's similar to Calm, it's similar to Oak, these types of apps. and to control your breathing. So it is a form of meditation, but for me, the benefits have been like phenomenal. I wake up feeling completely fresh. I feel like I'm starting my day again. Like I feel super like awake, and the actual science back data is insane. Like from a like neuroplasticity standpoint, and your ability to learn is improved dramatically. Your recovery from training sessions has improved a lot. Your memory is affected positively as well. So there is so many benefits to this. Like I would say, if you're gonna try it, do it for like a week and do it like straight, like 7 days or at least 5 days in a row. It's kind of uncomfortable and a bit awkward to sit and listen to this tape. Some people might find it really cheesy. Just kind of go with it and see how you feel. The first time I done it, I've yet to get this feeling again, but it was honestly like, I don't know, it was like a proper, like I'd taken a psychedelic. It was like mad. I've not actually had that since, which is really weird. I don't know if I'm maybe still chasing that.
Chasing high.
Weird. But it was like a high. Like I was like, I could feel like my body going numb in certain places. It was really weird. And that totally brought me in. And I've had like really good kind of, I felt similar to that since, but
as a percentage, you said 80% of your naps you're waking up groggy. As a percentage in SDR?
I don't like at all. No. And sometimes you don't even need to listen to the full thing. So usually I'll listen to one that's 30 minutes. Sometimes get the full 30 minutes and there's a kind of chime at the end and that wakes you up. Sometimes 12 minutes and I feel you just wake up naturally. And you feel great. Like almost never. There's probably some time, like, I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna say 100% of the time I feel amazing, but strong 95%.
On a practical level, when do you fit it into your day?
So this is the thing. Most people, in my opinion, couldn't do this because they don't have a work setup like me. I can choose my hours, so I've got that time in the middle of the day. That's when I'd suggest to do it the most. Kind of midday, halfway throughout your day. But there's a lot of data to back the fact that you should do this right before bed. So you should do it. Like it puts you into a sleepy state because it does make you more tired and then you can sleep. There are other Nsdr protocols that are longer and they're like 90-minute recordings. So they're really good for people with insomnia. They can actually help you, get and stay asleep. So yeah, for me, middle of the day, if you can't do that, find any kind of 15-20 minute point in your day where you're maybe feeling a little bit more lethargic. I know a lot of people are working from home right now as well. So it's something to try in my opinion.
A lot of corporate offices, particularly the super woke companies, are building in nap pods and stuff like that. Now, yeah, I mean, in all fairness, employment might go that way. And if we have a hybrid working week where you've got some days at home, some days in the office, it might well get that way. But the fact that you've underlined that some people can do it pre-proper bed, would be the term I would call it, is quite exciting. And you are somebody that has experimented. Equally, I think the big caveat is that when you're using it during the middle of the day, it's because you're getting up between 4 and 6 a.m. Quite often closer to the 4 and the 5 than the 6. So of course you're likely to have a bit of a flag during the middle of the day, and you have that like recharge and then go again. Whereas if somebody's sleeping till 7:30, 8 o'clock and going to bed at 10, 11, 12,
that's a good point.
It's different. But I think for a lot of people that listen to this type of podcast, they're trying to be more like modern people. They're trying to get a lot done before they maybe are under contractual hours.
Some people's 2 p.m. for my 2 p.m. is a lot of people's 5 p.m. I go to my bed at like 8 o'clock. So it's different in that sense. So I would say, I'm saying I do it at 2 p.m. But for you, do it at 5 p.m. and you've still got another 5 or 6 hours before you do go to like actual sleep. So yeah, I would say that's a good point there.
Yeah, interesting. 15, squat, bench, deadlift, the big 3.
Well, I said overrated, I think. I just think because, reasons are it's more push-pull hinge for me. It's more of a movement pattern. And I think like from my experience, both more in training and coaching a lot of people, and bear in mind I mainly coached like amateur athlete type people, so that it's more important to find exercises that fit them, that are maybe a little more specific and things like that. But I would feel like one of the reasons is they are kind of very taxing exercises, and if you just go and hammer them all the time, then you're potentially going to run into some real kind of burnout issues, some niggling injuries, especially if your technique's not dialed in very well. And yeah, sometimes those exercises just genuinely just don't fit people. I'm sure obviously you get experience that, David, like both yourself and your clients. Like sometimes people just aren't built to pull off the floor, and that's just, I mean, one of my clients was like 6'6", played second row at a high level. I'm like, am I honestly going to get you to hunker down and pull this bar
Probably
off
need
the
a
floor,
hex bar or something,
or am I going to put you in a trap bar with high handles? You know, when you factor in everything else. Now, I know obviously not everybody plays rugby and things like that, or not everybody has those factors, but certain people, like for me personally, back squats have just never been a thing for me. Like I hammered them for years,
Yeah.
and they just like always caused me issues. Front squats, love them, do them all day long. So I think like unless you're a power lifter, you do not have to do the traditional squat,
really good.
back squat, bench press, deadlift.
Yeah.
Really good summary. We actually spoke about this back on your second appearance in the podcast, and we said
We
10
did,
things we wish we knew. And David was an absolute evangelist for everyone doing these back in the day, weren't you? Like,
Which is
all
how
your
it-
clients.
Absolutely, yeah. So was I with my clients. Every client done these exercises. I mean, you know.
But that shifted for you quite quickly.
Yeah, and even more so now, if I was to look at this solely from a muscle building standpoint, I'd say they're not optimal at all. If you look at building muscle, you should be looking to take muscles close or to failure on the most part. You want to select the exercises that are safe and easy to do that on to an extent that don't, mechanical breakdown within any of those three leads to injuries much more than something like if you look at a bench press, swapping that for a chest press machine and going to failure is much safer, and you're probably going to have a better ability, or you're going to have a bit more of an ability to build more muscle. Same with a squat. It's rare that I would get a client to train to failure on a squat. I don't do it. I did in the past. But from a safety, comfort, even an effectiveness standpoint, I wouldn't use a squat. I'd use a hack squat now or a leg press if I was going to do that type of movement. So yeah, I'd say they're overrated. The only people that need to be doing these would be powerlifters.
Yeah.
But
some athletes benefit from the movement patterns when they're loaded with a barbell versus machine, or is there grounds for either?
I generally speaking, again, with my experience coaching those guys, it was always more on nailing the movement rather than like it being married to a barbell. So like I said, I used a lot of trap bars,
even squat,
Zercher squats, safety squat bars as well. If we're going to load it, because again, that's kind of, I know it gets a bit too, but it's that axial loading. You want to maybe like slightly reduce that, especially for contact and combat sport athletes. So yeah, I mean, you're always finding ways. The thing is, it always comes back to that kind of push, pull, and hinge and those kind of movement patterns. But you're just trying to find ways where basically you want to put people in a position to be successful in the gym, especially if you're a coach coaching clients, and also for yourself. Like, where can you be successful and thrive and push yourself? And if that means that you need to swap things out, doesn't mean you're cheating or you're not going to make
I love
gains.
them and I do all three, but I do them most out of enjoyment, and they're great things. They're great benchmarks to actually set against other people and to view numbers against. It's great for that because every guy knows what a bench is, so it's great for that in my opinion. They're good challenges to set, and like hitting a heavy deadlift, there's nothing better.
Oh, it's quality.
So I do them, and I do them with, I'm going to say 80%, maybe more of my clients. Partly out of enjoyment, to be honest, and I just think they're good movements. Are there more optimal movements? Yes, but for me, optimal and enjoyment's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Combination of two.
100%.
When I first met David and we first trained together, I never did any of them. I did a Romanian deadlift with dumbbells. I did like a Smith machine hack squat, and I did like a dumbbell inclined press. And he was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But I did build a pretty good physique from doing those things, because from a muscular perspective, I was taking them to failure. My central nervous system could recover a lot better. But importantly, the enjoyment aspect you mentioned, I'm doing the growth project through MTN, David's coaching company just now, and the big lifts are in there because when you're in a calorie surplus and you're trying to grow, those numbers are quite motivating to go up. Whereas on an incline dumbbell press, yes, I've progressed that movement, but can you progress a deadlift like with 5 kilos at a time, 2.5 kilos at a time? It's quite exciting to see that go up and keep track of. So from an enjoyment perspective and excitement perspective, sometimes those big movements are great to have in there. Whereas on a hack squat, sometimes like if you put on an extra plate of, like half a plate aside, you're going to be fighting for air.
Yeah. I think like you said there, though, they give you good reference points as well, don't they? Like to how you're kind of training. Because like, for example, my session this morning, I had bench press in it. I think I was doing 105 for sets of 6. Done it for 3 sets of 6, and everything moved really, really fast. And for me, I'm like, that's a really good. So see once, cause I've always been terrible at bench press. So like, if I can handle 100 kilo plus for reps, I'm like, I'm in a pretty decent spot when I'm training. But like 3 weeks ago, it was like 90 kilos, and I was shaking like shit and dog, and I was like, this is not good. This is not good enough. So I think like for certain people, if you get experience training, you can maybe gauge how you're training, how probably other things like sleep, recovery,
where am I
nutrition, where am I at? How's this weight moving? How's it feeling, sort of thing,
I think with them as well, they're a standardised movement in every country. A barbell's 20 kilo and the plates are standardised.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas if you were to look at, like taking your example, I know you're being sarcastic, how much do you bench, bro? But how much do you chest press? I don't know, there's 4,000 brands of a chest press machine that all move at varying angles. But bench is pretty much how much can you bench. Yeah. So it's actually good for those things. And if you look at it from an athlete standpoint, if someone was coming from the UK, going to America, the bench press and stuff like that is always the same, regardless of where you are. So I think they're overrated, but overrated, but I like them. Same with a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 16, time completely off. And I know you two are very big in this area now.
Underrated for me. It's helped me a lot. And being more creative and being more productive. I used to think I had to be working, I had to be doing things, I had to be replying. Like for me, my phone blows up, like Instagram, WhatsApp, emails all the time, until probably last year when I worked with a mentor actually. He was literally adamant. He's like, you need to take these specific days off. And I started doing it, and I started to actually enjoy work more, because I was getting to a stage where you start to resent things. You resent people messaging you that shouldn't. And it's simply because I maybe hadn't created the boundaries to then take that time off. But since I've done that, I've noticed big improvements.
I'm
Chris,
the same.
You're doing it much more religiously now, aren't you? With the weekends and stuff.
I never got a hold of him.
It's not working for you, David.
Jill.
You prefer that anyway.
Totally she's much easier to deal with than me. No, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably something everybody goes through. That's like, it doesn't even have to be running your own business. Like if you're ambitious in any way, like yourself, Colin, your corporate career, like you can still probably do some prospecting work when you get home at night. You could probably be working as much as you want. LinkedIn. You could be doing. You can do it all sorts. So I think if you're trying to get ahead or try to achieve something, you're probably going to be, burning the candle at both ends. But I think like in recently, more so since like Jill joined the business, I think that's held me more accountable to be like, I'm going to be off on the weekends. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be off the weekends. When we go away, like we're going away this Saturday for a few days, I'm off. Like that's it. And it also pushes you to get everything get your ducks in a row and everything in line.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like it helps me having things like rugby. Like that keeps me, because it's like Saturday, well, I'm playing rugby all day, so I can't work. That's it. And having those plans in place, sometimes having those constraints can help. Almost kind of
take the time off.
Almost force you to take the time off in a lot of ways.
What do you do with your time off then? You said rugby, David. Does the phone go away? Because your work phone is your personal phone. It's your WhatsApp. It's your Instagram.
I think this is where I've struggled, because there has been times where I've been like, okay, I'll take time off. Phone, literally put it under the couch, like don't touch it. And I have been a bit like, right, I actually need to plan to do things, because I've been bored, or I've been doing things that maybe I've literally lay on the couch. Like, in fact, a few weeks ago, I had a Sunday off. I was like, I'm just going to lie here, lay on the couch, drank like, I don't know, 15 beers or something. And it was like, it was fine, but it did then affect the next few days of productivity. So I think for me, actually planning things in, to not to feel like I'm being productive, because that's completely not the point of it, but just things to do to actually enjoy. So yeah, planning things, get out, maybe planning meals out, things like that. For me, eating out is probably what I like to do the most of my time off.
So you've got a clear bit of time off. I think for somebody like myself who's got the corporate career, where I've always been quite good at having a hard close at the end of the day, particularly it used to be like closing the laptop and going to train if I'm training after work.
You train at night, don't you?
Typically, it has changed in this job sometimes, where I've had to fit in lunchtime sessions because I've worked later and stuff like that. But having that hard close is fantastic. The challenge for me taking time completely off is because I've got the side projects to do. Sometimes it feels like I'm never getting enough done in those. But having like a clear to-do list and time boxing. So like, for example, on a Thursday between 7 and 8:30, I'll do prospecting emails for podcast guests. But outside of that, I shouldn't really be doing lead generation and prospect guest invitations. And knowing that that's in there, if it gets to 8:30 and I'm still doing that, that's me not taking time off. I need to close my personal laptop and go and watch something or read something, and that be the time off. It sometimes can be hard to draw those lines, but I've always been good at it in the corporate space, where I've been like, right, that's the day done, and then during my 9-5 I'm like very productive and get a lot done, and it enables me to then do the side projects, because people always ask, how do you have the time? Well, I work really hard during 9-5, so I don't really need to work after 5 o'clock or before 9 o'clock sometimes, because I'm actually good during the hours that I'm meant to be working.
I wonder if it's very different for you're, I think, a different kettle of fish based on how self-motivated you are to an extent. But I think for most business owners, it's certainly much harder, because like your income base is based on how hard you work. Your income, of course, yours is as well, commission and things like that and bonuses. But most people, typical 9 to 5, in this day and age, you're not actually paid based on how much work you do.
No, it's not. But do you not also think, like, see what you said about your Sunday off? Like, one of the misconceptions with time off is, like, take time completely off, but don't do things that make you feel like shit, that mean that when you come back to work, you are then flagging, you know? Yeah. So, like, time completely off. So, for example, like, when I take time completely off, like I say, it could be playing rugby. That's not relaxing. You get your head kicked in for 8 minutes, right? But then there's also, like, I'll go out, go out with Jill, go walks, like, I'll be reading, I'll still be doing I'll still be active in things, like, I'll still be doing things. Time completely off. Sometimes the misconception is time completely off means like it means like you're just like vegging out, you know? It's like that's the wrong way to spend your time completely off. I think, you know, it still has to be productive, still has to make sure that when you come back to your work, you're still showing up.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
The opposite of taking time off, 17 is waking up at 5 a.m.
For me, it's underrated because I fucking love it. Like, and because I see the benefits, and I've mentioned these loads of times. I just get more done. Less people are awake to annoy me.
Yeah.
I do something similar. I have done like 5 a.m. in the past. Now it's about 6. I think it's overrated because I think people think it's a magic pill.
Yeah.
I think like you're bang on. Like, I see the benefits as well, and I totally endorse it. But I think, like, if you somehow, because some people can get a misplaced sense of achievement from getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing with that time? Like, that you got to remember, like, what is the goal of this? Like, where are you trying to go with this? The reason you get up at 5 a.m. is because you're the most productive.
Yeah.
You get a lot of work done. Nobody distracts you. You move your business forward. 5 a.m. just facilitates that.
Yeah, I think it should be like, I mean, waking up earlier is something most people need to do. It doesn't necessarily need to be 5 a.m.
Yeah,
like,
if you're chasing your tail,
so the general concept, waking up earlier is you're
100%
underrated.
Underrated, massively. Because I mean, if you're that type, if you're the person that's like you say, like, constantly chasing your tail, so you don't have time for anything, whatever goal it is. Obviously, we speak a lot about fitness. So say, I've not got time to meal prep. I've not got time to do this. I've not got time to, you know, have a decent breakfast or whatever it is. It's like, what time do you get? Do you get up at like 20 minutes before you got to leave the door, and then you run out the house with half a slice of toast hanging out your mouth and your shirt untucked and sprint to your car? You know, like, I think like the getting up earlier definitely a thing, but if you think like just by waking up at 5 a.m. things magically happen.
And everyone is completely different. Some people are like creatives generally are much more productive in the evenings, like generally a lot more productive. Even we were working with a videographer today, and he was like, I was asking him what he was up to tonight, and he's like, I'll probably just stay up, you know, 1, 2 in the morning just editing. I was like, what? I was like, what time do you get up? He's like, 10 or 11. And he said, he's like, I just prefer staying up late. And he was the same reason. Less people are awake at that time to annoy him. Mine's is just the opposite way about.
Tim Ferriss wrote his 4-hour work week between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's when he got, like you say, that's when it kind of got his kind of juices flowing or whatever. But I think generally speaking, like, people could benefit from getting up early. Because I mean, if you want to get better anyway, then you can assign half an hour in the morning to doing that thing. Even if it's something as simple as, like, do you know what, I want to read more, I want to get more steps in, I want to, like, okay, well, set your alarm half an hour earlier and get your ass out of bed. And by the way, see, waking up at 5 a.m, if you think like that's the answer, you're going to wake up and it's hard when you first start doing it. You know, it's
how early do you need to go to bed, David?
I mean, I'm in my bed for like 8:30, probably sleeping for latest 10 usually. My issue, like, there's a problem with this as well though, because it gets to the weekend and I'm out and I'm knackered, like at like 10, 11, I'm the same. Dying, I do struggle.
David invites you out for dinner and it's booked for 5:30. It's like going out for dinner with your gran. It's like that. You know, for dinner this weekend, what time's tail booked for? 4 o'clock.
Works my lifestyle, so I don't care.
He books good restaurants though.
He does very good restaurants.
Good choice.
So Chris, you've moved your bedtime to 5 before, so your wake time till 5.
Yeah.
You've now closer to 6. What time do you need to be realistically as a practical suggestion?
Pretty much the same as David. I don't go to bed that early, but like I'm sleeping for 10 o'clock. Pretty much. Sleeping for 10, and I am naturally a very good. I've never had an issue with sleep.
Yeah.
And I think you're the same, David. Like, I'm out like a light. Don't wake up. Don't need to go to the toilet. Nothing like that. So when I wake up,
the quality of it's good. So you can bank on that being pretty much 8 hours of sleep, which is what we're all chasing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because 8 hours in bed isn't 8 hours of sleep for a lot of people. 8 hours in bed could be like 6 hours sleep for some people with 2 trips to the bathroom, or they wake up and they check their phone and all that nonsense. Yeah. Okay, cool. 18, tracking all macros. So that would be tracking not just protein and calories, but tracking fats and carbs as well. David, a wee ranting coming, I think.
Massively overrated. The only people that need to be doing that is not pro bodybuilders and athletes. That's the only people that need to be doing that for body composition goals. Maybe if you have certain diseases, illnesses that you need to keep a track of. You know, if you're diabetic, you should certainly keep
Type
a track
1
of
diabetes, they need to know their carbs.
Yeah.
carb intake. Other than that, I don't think it's necessary. And I used to make every client and myself track every single macro to the gram. Now I don't. You get a lot more flexibility if you solely track calories, protein. Simple on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I think we're all on board with that. I think for me, I know that I've got a predisposition for performance and probably taste as well to eat more carbs, so higher carbs and fats. But I don't have like a fat and a carb target. So
You just know that they should
I just know that the meals that I eat tend to be higher fat and carbs. So when it goes in my fitness pal and I see the fat number, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I know that it's a lot lower than the number for carbs because fat's a lot higher.
If you're really concerned about performance, like you're really like, you know, trying to nail things or you're trying to break into the professional space, I don't think it's a bad idea to keep an eye on like your carb intake and your fat intake and time things, because if you are monitoring them, you can time them, and carbohydrate timing especially is key for like physical performance. But then you could also say like high fat content is key for mental performance as well. So it's they're overrated. You don't need to be doing it in most for most people, but there are certain spaces that you should certainly look.
It's the minutia for a lot of people, isn't it? They get into the weeds.
Yeah, you're allowed more flexibility.
Yeah, 100%. But I would also kind of maybe like caveat that with like, if you are looking to maybe, and again, I'm not speaking as any kind of expert here, but if you are looking to perhaps make like performance your goal in any given like sport or anything like that, like never forget that the number one thing that you should be doing is becoming a PhD in your sport.
Yeah.
So like if you're shit and you're not getting picked for your team, or you're, say you can compete in a solo sport and you're always getting spanked, right, and you're never winning, timing your carbs isn't going to fix that. And timing your fats isn't going to fix that. But becoming better at your sport is going to fix that. You know, Finn Russell is a phenomenal rugby player. He has a 5 guys before he goes out and plays, and he's one of the highest paid rugby players in the world. And whatever your opinions are on him, he's a phenomenal player. So like you can see these examples everywhere. And I know that might be cherry picking, you know, like Usain Bolt eating chicken nuggets before he goes and runs a record. But the fact still remains,
you need to be great at what you do.
Don't want to go off on a tangent, but that's the goal for those people, isn't it? Being a PhD in your sport, you can see countless examples of that. Countless examples.
Massive. 19 is a food item, and one that's particularly high in one macronutrient, and it's nuts.
Nuts. Right. So there's 2 things at play here. Nuts are overrated, right? They taste like dust, right? But peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter, right? I don't want to hear a single word about smooth peanut butter. I'm not interested. It's just for wee guys.
I like both.
Right? It's just for wee guys. Like, you know what I mean?
I like both.
I like both.
Right? Like nuts are overrated.
They are, aren't they?
Nuts are overrated,
massively
especially when
overrated.
people told them up as a protein.
Oh yeah, that's nonsense.
You see a lot of that. They're like,
don't you?
They're like,
Aye,
get more protein in, have nuts, and I'm like, how many grams of nuts would you need to eat to get even like 20 grams of protein?
Yeah.
Thousands of calories.
Used to see that all the time, like when I worked in hospitality, and like say like other people I worked with and say they're on a health kick, they'd always show up with like a bag of nuts. Do you know what I mean? Like £3 out of Tesco, a bag of almonds. Just
calories.
Aye. I'm on a health kick. Wow, you want to
Think of the bowl of oats she could have instead.
He almost tried to get us there.
Oats or nuts?
Oats, I would say. I think I'd rather eat oats.
Yeah, they're rather.
They're
of course you would, because your performance would benefit from it as well.
He's trying to claw back some ground here on the oats argument.
I'll get you a scoop of chocolate whey, banana on top.
The end of it.
Lovely.
No thanks. Nah. I mean, peanut butter all day long. Not a big fan of almond butter. Never really got that. I don't think it's really like
Almonds ain't got no titties. That's almond milk.
Well, milk makes butter. But I'm not a fan. Peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter, or fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that cashews are pretty nice.
You like cashew nuts?
Cashews and pistachios, I would say, are pretty nice. But see when people are eating like just like a dry almond, I'm like, I don't care who you are. Nothing about that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself if you think that that's enjoyable.
And particularly if they're eating it as part of a health kick, it's misinformed, isn't it? Because the calorie information on those is just not favourable.
And they probably chuck in some raisins with it as well, which is great for calories as well.
Oh god.
Almonds and raisins on a health kick. Brilliant. Well done.
Right, we've got 2 left. I've got an odd number, 20 and 21.
Nope.
But 20 is another food, and you're going to go for me again. Sodium.
Terrible, mate. I hate it. Overrated.
I love it for taste, but also it's a fantastic tool for guys like Chris and I who are trying to get high numbers in.
Yeah. Love it. Love sodium.
What do you not like about it, David?
I don't know. It's just crap. Honestly.
Hold on.
It's like a Christmas pudding.
Okay.
What about banana soreen?
No, I love banana loaf.
Have you had banana loaf soreen?
Nah, I'm not even gonna try it.
Oh, David.
David, come on, man.
That's shite. It's so overrated. People love it.
People do love it. I know they do.
Aye. I mean, I wouldn't.
You're one of
I
them.
don't.
Yeah, but
Aye,
I've had so many different flavors.
You have bath sweat and all that, like rub yourself.
Yeah, it's great.
A soreen bath.
Sorry, bath.
Is that anabolic?
Aye.
I'll be high.
Aye. Massively
Anyway,
anabolic.
it's overrated.
It's super calorie dense. So Chris and I, when we're eating like north of 3,000 calories, it's pretty handy, especially if you're on the go. But I think some people overrate it because they think it's like a healthy snack. And we were talking about snacking earlier on. If you eat like one of they're like lunchbox sizes they're called.
Aye.
Like one of them's like 90 odd calories. Like that's gone in seconds.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, and you know, people always do these like snacks under 100 calories, which is quite valuable for some people. But if you're thinking about like, if you put that into like fruit or something like that, you would get a lot more bang for your buck. Whereas like I'm seeing off like a whole loaf, so I'm buzzing with it.
Yeah. I was telling this before we started, like my granda used to cut a soreen loaf like in half, like lengthways, and then like butter both sides and then gub it. So like I don't like butter, but I used to get the banana soreen loaf and put raspberry jam. Speaking of another condiment, raspberry jam must come with seeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seedless raspberry jam, again, it's for wee guys. That's for smooth peanut butter and Ben and Jerry eaters. Raspberry jam with seeds. And you used to put that on the soreen. Oh man, easy if you toast it a wee bit so it gets a wee bit crunchy, and then you put the raspberry jam on it.
Maybe I'll try the banana one this
Phenomenal.
week.
Okay.
I thought it was shite.
I've not had it. I'll try it.
He was lashing out.
We've got a flip
I know.
flopper,
Sorry.
ladies and gentlemen. We've got a flip.
I was on the fence.
Last but by no means least, is it overrated or underrated to have a diary? Like a written
Do you mean
diary?
like a
Dear Diary?
Do you mean like Dear
Journal
Diary?
Saturday.
Like a journal, yeah.
Yeah, like a journal. Right. I would say it's what would I say?
I don't really know. I've not got one. I don't really have a strong opinion on having one.
I would probably say it's underrated because I think the concept of it is good, but it doesn't necessarily have to come in the written word. Like, so basically the concept is you get your feelings out of your head, you get your thoughts out of your head and into the world somehow. And like, maybe if some of those thoughts you want to remain private, it's best being kept on paper. Yeah. But by the same token, if you have somebody that you can trust and you've got a really close
Instagram
person
stories
in your
diary,
life,
really, isn't it?
we're pretty much, mate, I was going to say,
I was going to ask, where's your outlet for that then?
I actually had, I think you recommended it, 6-minute diary.
That's what I use.
And I did try it and I used it. I've probably used
that's
it for like
that's the only one I ever finished.
Right.
I tried 3 before that and didn't finish any of
I
them.
recommended it to Chris, and Chris was like, I like large parts of it, but remember there was like the habit tracker bit of it. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, his call recommended it to me.
I didn't stick with it for maybe long enough to see benefit. I felt like I was writing things for the sake of writing it because it was asking me to write them, not because I actually was.
Are you quite a grateful person to start with?
Nah.
Okay, interesting.
I'm not ungrateful, but I wouldn't have said, oh, what? No, I'm not ungrateful. I don't practice gratitude like I think I used to. And I used to, and again, your woman changed my mind on this. I used to literally write like I am grateful for, and I would list off things.
This wasn't in a diary, but where was this?
In a pad, and I would list off things for the sake of, because I thought it was something to do to make me feel good and to make me a better person. Rather than what I do now is like if I'm feel grateful for something, I literally like one of my habits that I tick off on a daily basis is give someone gratitude for something that they've done for me. So for me, every day I'll find someone. I try to like that I am thankful for, and I'll just tell them that rather than like writing it in a diary. So I find that to be much more beneficial, and you also, the person finds that much more beneficial. Me writing I am grateful for my granda doesn't fucking do anything. He doesn't say it. It doesn't make me feel that good because I know I'm grateful for him. Whereas me telling my granda, by the way, really grateful for still having you in my life, which I've actually texted him that quite recently. That for me is much. That's of a higher benefit.
That's bang on. I think like I've taken a similar approach. I find the forced aspect of it quite difficult because it is supposed to be like a sincere thing, isn't it? And then it's almost like you're being sat down. It's almost like getting remember you used to get punnies and punishment exercises.
That's exactly how
in school. It's kind of sitting down and forced to write something. It's
totally.
like I think I found that aspect it ran dry quite quickly. Not because I don't have things to be grateful, just because it was like, well, There's only
do
so
like the same
they do like the
things,
same
like,
things because
yeah.
you are grateful for like the main things you're grateful for in life are like either a situation you've created for yourself. So for example, I'm grateful for my own business, or people like I'm grateful for having Jill in my life,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
And me.
after a while, and David and Colin, you know, after a while it just gets a bit like you just sit there. So I think like that's why it was potentially overrated, because it can kind of put you in an awkward spot. And a lot of times people do this first thing in the morning, and it's like that's you're kicking off your day, just being frustrated at the fact that, and sometimes you can misinterpret it as like, have I got nothing to be grateful for? Like, what's going on here? Whereas like, I think your approach, like again, I try to make an effort to like tell people that I'm great. Like I try to tell you, like I remember recently actually I gave a talk, and then the first thing I did was like text my mum, saying like I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for your kind of love and support. Jill was there, so I told her in person, and I text you, and I was like, I wouldn't be here if you didn't take a chance on me early on when I didn't have anything to suggest that I was worth taking a chance on.
Yeah.
So it's like you get so much more from that than you do from just like sitting like writing and like writing
Massively.
forced thing.
Yeah.
Some of the I should actually go back and look at some of the things I used to write being grateful for. Like
Yeah.
it must have been some absolute pish I used to write in that diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably the opposite side of the coin in some ways, but I recognise the value that you guys get from actually doing. So I'm on to my 5th 6-minute diary. So I've been journaling for just over 2 years. And before that, I don't think I was particularly good at verbalising my gratitude. And I don't think I was particularly good at recognising my gratitude either.
You really are the most disciplined human being I know.
But it's when it becomes grooved as a habit, David. It takes quite a lot for me to stop it. See, if I started cold showers, I'd probably keep going with it.
Yeah.
If I found there was a benefit. Some stuff like it comes in, I just drop it straight away because I'm like, I don't like this at all. But I found that verbalising, like, and even on the days that I struggle, they're a lot less now though, Chris, because I've done it for
of course.
coming up for 2 years. And there's a lot of similarity, and I found that neurologically, apparently there's a benefit to like, it's called the hammer approach, where you are saying the same things all the time and it reinforces. I actually was a guest in a podcast called The Grateful Show, and they asked me, what are you grateful for? And we were recording at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, well, I wrote in my diary an hour ago, this. And it all came really fluently to me. Whereas sometimes if you ask somebody like, what are you grateful for? Now you were really good there, Chris, and you spoke about that. And David, you were like, I've told my grandpa recently I'm really grateful that he's still around, all his support. And I know I've heard you speak about your gratitude to other people. That's really good. But a lot of people aren't actualized to verbalize how they feel. And I found that I've become a much more actualized and much more able to articulate myself and what I like, what I need to improve on without like, cause one of the things about the 6-minute diary was, previously I'm quite self-critical still, but the diary has like, how will I improve, which I found very helpful to be like, oh well, I'll improve by doing this. Whereas previously I would frame it at the end of the day like, what did I not do well? And I'd be like, this. Whereas how I'll improve is a better way to do that. Horses for courses, but one of the things I would say is that it seems that despite the fact that you don't have a written diary practice, some of the practices that you would gain from having one are already present within your life. So of course for you it's overrated because you don't see the same benefit because you've already achieved it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think like being, say if you, again, maybe if you like, not necessarily just if you run your own business, don't want to just pigeonhole us in there, but like, I think like if you do run your own business and you've got like self-development as a real kind of high kind of goal in mind, I think like you naturally have the habits that journaling tries to, you know, instill in you. So like gratitude, even just like keeping track of your days, how you've been performing, because at the end of the day, our progress and our success is wholly and solely on our shoulders. So like you naturally you are quite kind of, but again, that the trap you fall into is being self-critical. Now I'm lucky, like I've got like I can say I've got Jill who I run the business with, who's there to kind of counterbalance that. So like if she sees me kind of getting down on myself, and like now that's dependent on me sharing that with her, and she'll be like, well, hold on a minute here, actually this and this, and you get a bit of perspective. But so I think we maybe journal ourselves, but maybe it's just through the medium of like a different medium, just WhatsApp messages, conversations, that kind of thing. You know, it's the same similar thing, isn't it?
You're both quite open though. I think that's quite open with the right people. Like, don't get me wrong.
No, you're right. I'll be
I'm very open. Fucking everyone knows everything that's going on in my life.
Yeah,
I know.
It's rare that people don't.
I know. I remember I used to look at David in his Instagram and be like, fuck right, I need to grow my Instagram. Like maybe I should start doing that. And I tried it for like a day. And I was like, this is absolutely.
I'm such a worse cunt.
I was like, this is absolutely awful, man. I just remember sitting say like, yeah, so I'm just going to the gym, and then I'm just like, oh, fuck this, man. I sound like a total wanker. But like, you don't. But
No,
I did.
definitely
Like,
do.
I was just like, oh god.
But that's again recognition of like different people have different skill sets.
Totally.
Different people
Totally,
have different
yeah.
personality types. Like there's spoke to Zubu in the podcast, and he looked at his personality traits. He's built to be going viral on Twitter all the time. He's got he's very intellectual, he's very curious. He's got low levels of I think he called it neuroticy or I fumbled over that, but we'll find out. He's got very low levels of like negativity. So like if he gets abuse or like online abuse, it's water off a duck's back. So he's like built for that. David is built to share regularly on Instagram because it doesn't bother him. It's like it's actually like it's a thing he likes doing. Yeah. Pay me attention. Speaking of paying attention, guys, that's us gonna wrap up just now. Where would you like people to come and pay you attention at? Where would you like to send them towards?
Oh, there's lots of places now, to be honest. The easiest way to get in touch would just be the website, so www.mtncoaching.com, or just my own personal Instagram, Hatt_MTN.
I think I gave out the wrong Instagram handle last time I was on this podcast. Yes, I did.
You still got some followers though.
I did. I got some very nice messages, which was great. At Savage Scholar Chris on Instagram, you'll find me on there. And yeah, send me a DM. It's a safe place. I'm not going to sell you mentoring or courses. So yeah, if you get anything you want to share, crack on.
Will they find out about your hairstyling routine though?
Absolutely not. It's under lock and key. Okay. It's not going anywhere.
Find out about mine.
I hope. Okay. Hopefully, it's got the right angles here to show it off to make people even more jealous. But no, absolutely not.
Thanks very much for joining me, guys, and thank you to you, the listener, for this one. Please make sure you take a screenshot, pop it on your Instagram story, or copy and paste the link, pop it into a WhatsApp group, send it to a friend that needs to hear this, and I'll be back to speak to you all again very, very soon. There we go.